There is a question underneath most conversations about AI at work, and it rarely gets asked out loud. Why does this work so well for individuals and so badly for organizations? The individual evidence is everywhere. A single developer ships what used to take a team. A solo founder runs entire departments. I am one of the data points. My company's engineering, marketing, and operations all run through AI, supervised by one person, and the organizational evidence points the other way. Pilots that never reach production. The 5x tool that ships 1.3x. Programs that produce demos, decks, and a quiet sense that something is not converting. I used to think the difference was skill or courage. I now think it is mechanical and fixable. Everything that makes an individual productive with AI is implicit. Invisible, automatic, free. An organization gets none of it for free. Every implicit thing must become infrastructure. That is the law. The rest of this video is just the table. 7 rows. Row 1, context. Working alone, one head holds the whole business, so the AI is always fed the right context. You are the retrieval system. A team's context is fragmented across people, wikis and chat threads, and AI amplifies whoever feeds it. The model isn't good enough. Complaints are context supply failures wearing a model quality costume. The infrastructure is curated knowledge, and curation means exclusion, not collection. Most organizations have documentation. Almost none have curation. Row 2, trust. Alone, you run an earned autonomy ladder in your head. You know exactly which tasks your AI handles unsupervised, which get reviewed, which it never touches. In a team, nobody's calibration is legible to anyone else. The infrastructure is explicit autonomy tiers, keyed to something objective like reversibility, plus the part almost nobody builds. Promotion mechanics. An action class should earn a rung the way an employee earns one. A track record of clean runs. Automatic demotion on incident. Trust policy compiled. Row 3, review. Alone, producer and reviewer are the same person at different times of day, so review scales with production automatically. This is the row organizations hit first and hardest. AI multiplies output while review capacity stands still, and realized throughput gets capped at whatever the person who says ship it can process. Review must be priced by risk, made cheap by evidence, recorded so it compounds, and eventually promoted from reviewing the work to supervising the system. Row 4, enforcement. Alone, your rules bind because you pay for your own shortcuts. In a team, an instruction is a request, and anything weighing requests against deadlines will sometimes decline. I learned this in my own repository. Agents instructed to run the tests before every commit did so, often, until we moved enforcement into a layer that cannot be argued with. The week we shipped it, the gates caught 2 bugs that had been latent for months. Policy that lives in a prompt is a preference. Policy that lives in a gate is infrastructure. Row 5, attribution. Alone, who did this has one answer. In a team running agents, it has several. The human, their agent, whose configuration which model. And every one of them matters the day something goes wrong. This row acquired legal weight in July, when a judiciary-chaired task force in England concluded that liability for autonomous AI turns on the supervision that was exercised and can be shown. The infrastructure is a per-actor, tamper-evident audit trail. The record of supervision as a product surface rather than a subpoena response. Row 6, incentives. Alone, your incentives align by construction. Outcome quality is your profit and loss. In a team, AI quietly breaks the oldest management signal there is, effort. When a polished artifact costs minutes, looks finished, stops meaning anything, and rational people drift toward plausible overcorrect. The infrastructure is quality made legible, evidence attached to work instead of assertions about it, with one incentive-compatible core. Evidence buys freedom. Prove your calibration, earn lighter review. Row 7. Memory. Alone, your judgment compounds for free. Every lesson shows up in tomorrow's decisions. Teams leak judgment through every departure and reorganization, and AI makes the leak worse by multiplying how many judgment calls get made per week. The infrastructure is a memory of judgment, not just facts, which decisions were made, what was rejected, whether the reasoning held, plus someone whose job is curating it. Without the why, every incident starts from zero. Now, read the 7 rows again and notice what they add up to. Curated context, autonomy tiers, engineered review, structural enforcement, provable attribution, legible quality, institutional memory. The table is a company. I did not set out to build any of it. I set out to run a company alone. And each row is just what it took to stop being the only load-bearing component. Every organization adopting AI will need some version of this table, built, bought, or bled for. And the convergence keeps confirming it. In one fortnight, a builder in an unrelated domain published how his platform implements 4 of these rows as working code, unprompted. An engineer shipped row 2's ladder into his own agent, and a room full of barristers made row 5 a legal requirement. Nobody is coordinating this. That is the tell that it is a law and not a fashion. So here is the diagnostic. Walk your organization down the table and mark each row honestly. Infrastructure, implicit, or missing. Missing is fine. It is a roadmap. The dangerous mark is implicit. Implicit means the row works today because one person is quietly carrying it in their head. Implicit does not scale, does not survive turnover, and does not show up in any audit until the week it fails. Find that person, then build what they are carrying before the environment or their resignation letter builds the case for you. The full table runs deeper than one video. There is an essay on every row at jiegou.ai/essays. Start with the row you marked implicit.